Good evening, folks. I'm going to bring this regular meeting, the city Clear Lake City Council as Clear Lake Hall Council Chambers 14050 Olympic Drive, Clear Lake, California, to order at 6:01. Madam Clerk, can we get the roll call?
Councilmember Wilson.
Present.
Councilmember Downey.
Here.
Vice Mayor Slotin
Here.
and Mayor Kramer,
Here.
and Councilmember Hooton is absent.
All right. We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing if you would for the invocation. Councilmember Downey, could you please lead?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Again, if you'd remain standing, Pastor Andrews, I hope you're in the audience. And lead us.
Dear Lord, we thank you to be able to gather, Father, for this city. I pray for each and every council member, each and every leader. I pray that you just continue to bless them, give them wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Be with each and every decision, Father. Tug on their hearts towards this way or that way, whatever that's best, Father, for this community, Father, for the furtherance of your kingdom, Lord. I speak life over each and every family of each and every member here. I just pray for them. I pray blessings over them, Lord. We pray for this city. We speak life over this city. We speak healing over this city, unity over this city, reconciliation over this city. We speak less drugs over this city and just more of you, more of peace, more of kindness, of gentleness, of love. And we thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Andrews. That was. You may be seated. Okay, I'm beginning by going over the meeting procedures. All items on the agenda will be open for public comments before final action is taken. Citizens wishing to introduce written material into the record at the public meeting on any item are requested to provide a copy of written material to the Administrative Service Director, City Clerk, prior to the meeting date so that the material may be distributed to the City Council prior to the meeting. Speakers must restrict comments to the item as it appears on the agenda and stay within a 3-minute time period. At the end of 3 minutes, you'll hear a little ding thing. So if you go that far, I'll be expecting you to wrap it up. Do it. Mayor has the discretion of limiting the total discussion time for an item. If you're on Zoom meeting, please note that only written comments will be taken via Zoom using the Q&A chat feature. Please enter your comment on the Q&A chat feature. All right. Okay. Adoption of the agenda. Are there any modifications to the?
No modifications, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Can we have a motion and then a second to adopt the agenda as presented?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I second it.
Okay, motion has been made by Vice Mayor Slotin and seconded by Council Member Wilson. Vote in your portal. Find my portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Okay, this thing we are going to now move on to presentations. For this, I'd like to have Diane Watson and come up and to the speaker. His name and Lisa, please come here if you want.
The vanity already.
Yeah, I thought we had this all worked out.
You had it worked out.
Okay. Any rate, this is LGBTQIA plus Pride Month. You've added a couple of letters since we talked earlier.
I don't know who adds the letters.
That's June 25th, June of 2025 is Pride Month. Whereas our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, but the fulfillment of this promise has been long in coming for many Americans. Some of the most inspiring moments in our history have arisen from various civil rights movements that have brought one group after another from the margins to the mainstream of American society. And whereas in the movement toward equal rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, intersex, asexual people, historic turning point occurred on June 28, 1969 in New York City, with the onset of the Stonewall riots. During these riots, LGBTQIA plus citizens rose up and resisted police harassment that arose out of discriminatory criminal laws that have since been declared unconstitutional. In the 4 decades since, civil rights for LGBTQIA plus people have grown substantially. The LGBTQIA plus Pride celebrations have taken place around the country every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots, and California has been a leader in advancing the civil rights of LGBTQIA plus citizens. And while further progress is needed, it's important to recognize and celebrate the substantial gains that have been achieved in the city of Clear Lake stands with the LGBTQIA plus community in the struggle to ensure equal treatment for all, and to advocate for LGBTQIA plus rights as human rights. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Clear Lake does hereby proclaim June 2025 as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month in Clear Lake, and advocates for protection for all LGBTQIA plus individuals, to make our community a place where all people, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, are treated with dignity and respect. Dated this 5th day of June 2025, and will be signed by me, Mayor of Clear Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're
I always get hugs from the mayor. I have a few words I'd like to say.
Let me sign.
Thank you to the City Council, City of Clear Lake. Pride Month is a powerful reminder that love conquers hate, right? And that the March for Equality continues. Being a member of the letter community, because I can't say them all either, there's way too many. It's not about sex, all right? It is about identity, authenticity, and love. Some believe the human experience is that there's only a man or a male and a female, all right? That's 2 extremes of the spectrum. In between, there is so much more that we don't understand. Consider land and sea, 2 extremes, but we have rivers, we have mountains, we have forests, we have animals, right? Every species is more than just male and female. And I think the reason some don't embrace what's on the spectrum in between male and female is out of lack of understanding and fear. I had the same fear when I was younger, right? I've learned to understand, right? There's much more than that. So this attack on the trans community has got to stop. It's got to stop across the nation. Everyone is entitled to life, liberty, peace, happiness, and health care. Together, we can embrace love, and we all win. So. Gays are leaving.
You can stay. You know that. I see. Thank you. Okay, well, we can put it there. Okay, we'll now move to public comment. Public comment, as you know, is the time for any member of the public to address the city council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. As I explained earlier, you'll hear the little ding if you go to 3 minutes per person. All right, I have a couple of requests for public comment here, so I'll call those first, and then if there are any others, I'll call those afterwards. Carol Almond. Carol, you introduce yourself, although we all know.
I know you don't usually get me here like this, do you? I did have a handout, so I didn't, it's just a picture. So if that's something that I can give you, we will.
Carol, could you state?
Oh,
where you
I'm
live?
sorry, Cheryl Almond. You think I'd know this, don't you? 4649 West 40th Street in Clear Lake.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, can I hand just a photo for you? Is that something you can hand out? You can.
She'll
Oh, okay. Yep.
actually just,
All right, I will go ahead and start my speech. Is it okay for you to see?
absolutely, just. Thank you.
So this photo is a copy of what's in front of our homes. This is my neighbor. Taking her way back. So what I'm looking at is we have potholes in our roads. We've requested them to be repaired, and it seems not to have managed to get there. So those are the potholes. There's one that I defined with a number of how big it is, but we have these all up our street. So that's a concern. We purchased our homes with a view and with streets that were nicely paved and maintained until we started having a process change where they were not maintaining the potholes. You had to request the potholes be repaired. We did that. Maintenance has been done very shoddily, and we waited until April to actually ask for our potholes to be filled. And what you see is what we have now. So from April till now, that's the level of pothole we have. And I made an arrangement for many of my neighbors to join me so that we could have an economic process that we would all try to get our potholes changed or filled at the same time. And I would say a third of them got filled and the rest of us did not. And we put in multiple requests, at least 4 I know of, and I left several others in mailboxes that were going to participate. So that was in April, because I wanted to wait till the rains kind of stopped, and then I had to leave town. So we purposely, I'm concerned that we are not maintaining our roads. We are not getting the request after we've made it to be maintained. I'm also on Measure V, and my street has been on that for probably 6 years to have it replaced. And now we're at the bottom of the list to have our potholes even filled. And remember, I bought a view and I bought a nice road. And that nice road, as you can see, has hugely deteriorated. When you're looking at, 35 inches across on potholes, and many of them deep, like 6 inches. So that's just not acceptable. We really would like to have that changed. I've gone through the process, and you guys know, those of you that know me, I do it right. And I'm really upset that it was not processed for whatever reason. And I am just upset about it. So I would like something done. I can certainly talk to Public Works later, because I know that that's where we're going to be headed. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, next up, Alice Reese. Please state your name and the reason where you live.
Good evening. My name is Alice Reese and I live in Clear Lake. And I'm here to talk about Austin's resort property being maybe sold. And you know, we've had that property empty for probably 30 years, close to 30 years. And we need more park and green space for our community. And having a hotel or whatever you're deciding to put there, it's going to take all that away, impact our traffic, impact our access to any green space there, and leave us a little tiny space of sand. So I wish you would really reconsider what happens with that property, because there are a lot of other venues that you could do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. And Rick Mayo.
Where's my handicap microphone? Pick it up. Oh, you're good. Okay. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Rick Mayo. I've been here a little bit after the city incorporated. Been here a long time in the community activist. Tonight I'm here because of a fire danger that is adjacent to the housing complex that I live in at 3930 Old Highway 53 and bordering Davis Avenue. There's down vegetation that's been there for ever since they was building the apartment complex. I have had conversations with the chief. He's been out there to the residents. He's looked it over. He sent code enforcement out there. He had 2 or 3 of his officers went up there and looked at that whole situation. We have homeless encampments up there now. We have transits that are coming through there and coming on to the complex apartment. And they're starting to smoke cigarettes up there now. So that's very worrisome to me, because if this thing ever lights off, God forbid, you're gonna have to evacuate 350 families just in that complex alone. Then you have all the other Lake Ridge apartments, you understand, is much larger than this complex. And then you got the nursing home behind there. So, you know, this thing could turn into a real catastrophe. Liabilities, you understand, afterwards and all of that, you know. I mean, this thing is manageable if the city does something. Okay, and talking to code enforcement, okay, they're limited on abatement funds. Okay, I talked to the fire department. Their jurisdiction, they only can send a letter to the property owner. They can only support what code enforcement does here at the city to try to eradicate that situation. So, you know, I'm here tonight pleading with you to do something about this, because this is an accident waiting to happen that don't have to be. Okay, moving along to my next subject. The ADA bathrooms in the park. I've been working on this for 10 years in this community, trying to get ADA bathrooms in Austin's Park. The bathrooms that's down at the Lakeshore Drive corner, many years ago, that was the Chamber of Commerce for the city of Clear Lake. When they put the bathrooms in, you know, over time, the bathrooms have deteriorated, has never met ADA. Don't meet ADA now. And when they did the reconstruction of the park, they took away the access to the bathroom, so you have no ADA access there at all. I have been working in the past with some of Alan's staff to try to create a barrier there to make sure that you have access there where you have parking for handicap vans and so forth. I'm just about done. So a while back, we had an opportunity to get some money from Community Development Alliance. I believe that's who it was. When Mike Thompson had his, he bought them here because of the lack of participation. So I asked them, is this something that you would fund for the city to put ADA bathrooms in the park at the North Shore? And they said that they would. So Alan submitted an application to them, but not only for bathrooms, for another project. There's a trailer on top of it. I never know what happened to it, and the bathrooms doesn't exist. Where the dog park is concerned, dogs.
Mr. Mayo, you need to wrap up your
I will.
comments.
I'm just about done.
You were about done a little while ago.
Okay, dogs don't pay taxes.
Mhm.
They need, the human beings
Go ahead,
need to do
Ralph.
something. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Mayo. Thank you for
Thank
your
you for
comments.
allowing me time to speak to you.
I'm gonna ask, is there anyone else who would like to speak from the Timberall? Okay. Please introduce yourself and tell us where you're.
Hi, my name's Evelyn Gonzalez and I live in Old Highway 53. I was just curious, like some places, some cities, they give you like newsletters, not regular news, paper, like a newsletter that can go in your mailbox and let you know what's going on in Clear Lake. Do they have something like that?
Well, I'll answer that. We have it online. We have Clear Lake News online.
Oh, but they don't have papers that can
No
go?
papers.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the, Margaret, come on up. Please introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
Hi, everyone. My name is Margaret Garcia. I live here in the city of Clear Lake. I am highly disappointed in the city of Clear Lake right now. The things that I've been hearing are you guys should be really pretty ashamed that there's no, first off, ADA bathrooms here at Austin Park where you have all these functions, all these, all the planned things that you do right here. And that hasn't been covered. I don't get it. I don't get it, Alan. I don't get any of it. As far as pavement, potholes, my topic on that. Now, I don't know how, but my street got some pothole fills, but it's highly traveled. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. And it's very much appreciated by me and I'm sure by everyone there. I believe the gentleman in the wheelchair coming down my street all the time in his wheelchair. You can't maneuver those potholes in a wheelchair. And there's a lot of people traveling around in their wheelchair. And the other thing, this guy came up in his wheelchair, very concise about what he wanted to say to you guys. And again, why couldn't he have a few more seconds? Why couldn't he have a few more seconds, Mr. Mayor? I just don't get that. All he needed was maybe 30 more seconds. Would that have killed you? No, but it would have been so respectful to him to not have to be rushed away from here. I just feel that the city of Clear Lake needs to snap out of it because they're trying to do all the things around here, but yet they don't have sidewalks and potholes. It's not a good look. Sidewalks are needed in a lot of areas. Maybe you need to start planning to put them in from now on or something, but that would improve the look of this city. And you guys are all about that. And I'm all about that. I'm all about Clear Lake. I love Clear Lake. But I am not loving it right now. I am not loving the way it is being treated and the way that people here are being treated. And I think you guys need to take a long, hard look at yourself and start getting stuff together here, because City of Clear Lake's not gonna look better unless we start doing some basic stuff. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else in the chamber that would like to comment? Madam Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom that would like to comment?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We will now move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the council requests otherwise, or if staff has requested a change under adoption of the agenda, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Any item so removed will be taken up following the motion to approve the consent agenda. Does any member of the council wish to discuss any consent agenda items? Does any member of the public wish to speak on an item on the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, I will take a motion and second to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
And second.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion has been made by Council Member Downey and seconded by Vice Mayor Slotin. Please vote on your portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Okay. Now we'll now move on to business. Item number 12, consideration of a memorandum of understanding for the Canocti Unified School District for 2 school resource officers. Mr. Flora.
Chief Hobbs will present the staff report. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Tonight, I'm going to give a brief presentation on the SRO MOU with the Canocti Unified School District. The Canocti Unified School District has 9 schools in Clear Lake Oaks, and Lower Lake. Having 2 police officers assigned full-time to the school districts has many benefits for the district as well as the community. The police department's current staffing level allows 2 officers to be assigned full-time to the SRO position. Under the proposed MOU, KUSD will pay $160,992.62 for a total of just under $322,000 per year to fund both of the 2 full-time SROs, which includes salary, benefits, overtime, training, vehicle usage costs. The city can also recover additional overtime costs for other officers used at school events. Just going to go over some things on the slide here, just talking about some of the benefits of the program. Okay, some background. Currently, we have 1 SRO assigned full-time to the Canocti Unified School District. It's fully funded by the school district. The program has been successful for the school district, and the program relieves patrol staff and allows a dedicated SRO that is trained specifically to work at the schools and work with the youth at the schools. Some other benefits regarding safety and presence at the schools. The SRO provides broader coverage across school campuses with improved response times, increased visibility and deterrence against threats or other criminal activity, and allows for having the second position allows for continuity of services when one SRO is not available to be at the schools. Some proactive engagement items. SROs build trust and relationships with the students, provide early intervention to help reduce suspensions, expulsions, and criminal conduct, enables delivery of some of the educational initiatives like drug resistance, anti-bullying, and other things. Having one SRO is stretched very thin with the amount of schools and students. Having the second SRO allows far more proactive engagement with the youth. Current capacity to support the second SRO. The school district is willing to fund the second position. There'll be no financial impact on the city's budget. And this MOU will reinforce strong collaboration and trust that have developed between the Clear Lake Police Department and the school district. That's the end of the presentation. If there's any questions, I will be glad to answer them.
Are there any questions of Chief Hobbs? No questions. Thank you, Chief Hobbs, for that presentation.
You're welcome.
Any questions? No, okay. Public, have any comments on this?
Mayor,
Yes.
maybe I could start with a letter that was submitted by the superintendent.
Go ahead.
Dear Mayor Kramer, members of the city council, city manager, thank you for reading this letter of support for our SRO MOU this evening. I prefer to be in person at the meeting, but we have our alternative education graduation this evening, which incidentally, our SRO Perry is also attending. On behalf of Canoctown Unified School District, I'm ready to express our strong support for the proposed memorandum of understanding between the city of Clear Lake and KUSD for the continued partnership and placement of a second school resource officer within our schools. Our shared commitment to providing a safe, supportive, and welcoming learning environment for all students is critical. The presence of a school resource officer on campus has proven to be a valuable asset in promoting school safety, building positive relationships between students and law enforcement, and fostering a culture of trust and collaboration. Over the past 2 years, the SRO program has enhanced our ability to respond proactively to safety concerns, supported our efforts in student crisis intervention, and provided educational outreach on important issues such as drug prevention, internet safety, and responsible citizenship. SRO has also served as a mentor and role model for students, hoping to build meaningful connections that support both academic success and personal development. I would like to personally thank Chief Hobbs for his leadership and support. Chief and the Clear Lake Police Department are always supportive of our district and most importantly, our students. This continued partnership is priceless. We respectfully urge the City Council to approve the MOU and reaffirm this important partnership. Together, we can continue to build a safe and supportive community where students can thrive. Thank you for your leadership and for your continued commitment to the well-being of the children and families we serve. Sincerely, Dr. Becky Salato, Superintendent, Canoctown Unified School District.
Thank you, City Manager. Now, are there any comments from the chambers? Supervisor Spate?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Bruno Sabatier, resident of City of Clear Lake. I love this. I love the addition to it. I think it's awesome that the school is able to be such a great partner with the city. I just want to make sure that there's a delineation in things that I have seen in the past that I hope we can figure out ways to rectify. I can't speak for our sheriff, but I could speak as a personal individual in my opinion on the matter. Certain things still continue to occur outside of the school boundaries, the school events and the school time, where eventually there seems to be some conflict where is it CPD that's supposed to take care of Lower Lake or Clear Lake Oaks, or is it supposed to be the sheriff? I am trying to have these conversations with the sheriff department to try and ameliorate the situation. I know there was some issues not too long ago at Lower Lake High School on a non-school event where there were some issues with parents fighting, and that CPD was the one who came out, and that is not part of this MOU. And on the MOU, I haven't read this specific one, but at least in the past, it states this is not our jurisdiction. This is only for the cause of supporting the schools during school activities and what's defined within the MOU. So I hope that the city also is having those conversations or can have those conversations to ensure that we can delineate between, like what I hear from the sheriff, including your staff, which I kind of laughed and said, I'm glad that you want to help when you can help. But everyone seems to want to talk about the MOU. As far as I'm concerned, nobody should know about the MOU other than the chief of police and Dr. Salato. If there's a 911 call and it's in Lower Lake, that is sheriff jurisdiction. CPD should not be the ones that we automatically call for help. I appreciate CPD wanting to go outside of their boundaries to provide help whenever they can. But I really feel we need to rectify this where it feels like Lower Lake is CPD jurisdiction because of this MOU. More so than the Clear Lake Coast, that doesn't seem to be as much of a situation, but I just feel there needs to be a conversation to really understand what those boundaries are and what this MOU does. It does not give you jurisdiction over that area, and I would like to see the sheriff be more proactive in that area. Just wanted to make my comment.
We would like to for that as well. We're on city council. We need our supervisor to be doing that, don't you think?
And supervisors do not get to tell sheriffs what to do.
And councils do. Our CBD, our Clear Lake Police Department has always stepped up when they're needed. And I really appreciate what you guys do all the time. No, that's all I'll say on that. Okay, are there any comments on, or are there any other comments in the audience? Madam Clerk, are there any comments on Zoom?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I'll now take this back to council for deliberation and a motion.
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding with Canocti School District for school resource officers and give the city manager, authorize the city manager to execute the MOU.
I second that.
Okay, a motion has been made by Vice Mayor Slotin and a second by Council Member Wilson. Let's now vote in our portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now move on to item 13, discussion and consideration of ordinance number 279-2025, an amendment of section 9-4 of the Clear Lake Municipal Code, excuse me, regarding residential rental registration and inspection. City Manager Flora.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, I'll give a brief staff report on this item. So as you'll recall, this item came before the council on March 20th. As part of the public comment, the Lake County Realtors Association asked for some additional time to review the proposed code amendments. The city council was agreeable to this request, and I have just a couple of slides here. Okay, so going back a little bit from before March. So back in 2001, the city council initially adopted this ordinance. Somewhere around 2008 is the approximate date the city stopped enforcing the program, likely as a result of the Great Recession and layoffs and things that happened at the city. Fast forward a few years, in 2019, the council initially directed staff to bring forward a discussion regarding rental housing inspection. And then in June of 2020, the city received a proposal from an outside contractor to provide rental registration inspection services. In July of 2020, there was a presentation that happened around that, and council directed staff to begin implementation of the rental registration inspection program. There was some internal work that happened on this, but it wasn't really until about a year ago. In the current fiscal year budget, the city council funded chief building official and community development specialist, which was intended to support in part the establishment of a rental registration inspection program. Then on March 20th, which I just mentioned, is when the ordinance was finally brought forward for a first reading of the council. And again, Lake County Realtors Association requested a continuance that was granted. On April 17th, the realtors submitted written comments to the city around the ordinance, and those comments are included in your packet. On April 24th, city staff met with the task, we're calling it the task force here, but a committee that was created by the Realtors Association to engage on this, to review and discuss some specific amendments to the ordinance. Staff took that information back, made a number of amendments. And on May 22nd, we met again with Realtors Group to review the ordinance language, which had a few minor updates after that point in response to their comments. And then here we are tonight with another proposed first reading of the ordinance. Okay, so just not going to go over the whole thing again. We'll of course address questions if you have any of those, but these are just kind of some of the key comments that were raised by the realtors that we made some adjustments on. So part of it was just, you know, ordinance is the policy that gives direction to staff on implementation, but there's kind of a lack of clarity about how some of these things were going to happen. So we put a little bit more language in the ordinance about phased implementation. So because we have somewhere around 6,600 suspected rental properties in the city of Clear Lake, that is not going to be likely going to be done in 1 year. So we're talking about phasing that in over probably a 3-year period. We put some language in the ordinance about how we would prioritize initial inspections. And then there was also concern about being able to continue operating sort of your rental business and having occupation in rental housing before you actually had an inspection, which could take as long as 3 years. So there's some language related to that. This was raised at the hearing, and again, when we met about tenant responsibilities, there was concern about whether the city was going to be respecting tenant rights while doing the inspections. Of course, our intention would always be to follow state and federal law. But we did add some sections in the ordinance just referring to state and federal law, and that we would you know, follow that and follow the necessary legal process for an inspection and notifying tenants. Another thing that was kind of a big issue is, you know, this is being done because, in large part, because we have, you know, some very poor quality rental housing in the city, but, you know, there are landlords that do a good job of operating the units that they oversee. And so there was interest in some way to self-certify based on a set of parameters. So we created a self-certification program here. Some of the key things for that is each property would require an initial inspection. But then after that inspection happened successfully, and a number of other things which are in the ordinance, including filling out a self-inspection checklist, signing an affidavit that things are up to par, and becoming a certified property manager. After that 1 year period, you would be allowed to self-certify, send the form in, pictures. They would be reviewed by our staff, but wouldn't have to go out and do an inspection. And there would be a reduced fee over having the inspection for that. And then there's language in there that, you know, if there was a variety of complaints that had happened, then that sort of privilege could be revoked and we would go back into the regular program. I mentioned just kind of a lack of clarity on how this is going to be approached. Well, this isn't really part of the ordinance. We did go ahead and create inspection checklists so that you could see what the inspector would be looking for, both on the interior and exterior. There is a inspection checklist for the regular part of the program, and there's also the self-certification inspection checklist. Those are both also uploaded and part of the packet. And then, you know, the key is regular habitability requirements, compliance with health and safety standards. So that's really the high level overview. Be happy to try and address any questions that the council.
Any questions, Vice Mayor?
I have a question. Can you put that checklist on the screen here?
I'm sure I can. Give me a moment.
I didn't see it, but it might have been added later.
This is the one that the city's inspector will use, or the self,
Yeah, this is the one the city's inspector will use.
and the self,
Like,
checklist would be different than that, or somewhat?
that's a little bit, let's see here. This is the right one, I think. Yeah. So they basically have to go through, check all these things off and then attest that, you know, I certify that I've inspected the unit, information above is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge, provide a copy of the form. So I guess there's a new state law I wasn't aware of till we met with the realtors, but they have to take pictures of the units as well, so they can take the pictures that they already have to provide or keep and submit those for us to just quickly go through and verify that everything seems to be okay.
You say there's 6,600 rentals in Clear Lake?
That's the, you know, we mentioned that we have software that identifies that. And so, I mean, we would start by sending letters to all of those that are suspected rentals. And, you know, I'm sure that there's some that are on the list that may not be, or there's some other issue that we're going to have to work through. But yeah, that's the list we'll be starting with.
What's the time? How long do you think it's gonna take to get through 6,600 of them? I guess my question.
4 years.
Well,
Okay.
probably about 3 years.
Okay. So an implementation. Go ahead.
Oh, did this also include like short-term rentals, like Airbnbs and stuff like that?
We have included that in the ordinance. So just so the council is aware, we would propose also requiring inspection of vacation rentals, hotels, also as part of the same
Oh.
program.
So are like the Lampliner and all that, the motels will have to get the same inspections?
We think there's a need for that, but if the council has a different feeling, you could
No, I like
adjust it.
that.
Yeah.
Where? Okay, are there? So, I'm sorry, I was.
Make sure you quench your thirst, Mr. Mayor.
I have a lot.
So
lot
if
more
you,
questions.
the question was related to vacation rentals, and I was just clarifying that the way we have the proposed ordinance, vacation rentals and actually hotels would also be subject to inspection.
So they're part of the they're part of the 6,600.
They are not part of the 6,600, but they would be subject to the ordinance as it's currently written.
Okay. Vice Mayor, you have a question?
When I first came on the council, that's one of the first things I asked for. So it's been 6 years in coming. So I am happy that you'll be able to work some of the discussions with the Realtor associations and make it palatable to everybody. But I always remember a couple of years ago, a gentleman died because there were no carbon dioxide monitors in his facility, and so that, and his dog died too. So this could have been prevented if this rental inspection ordinance was in place. And I think there was some more before that too, where serious damage was done. So I'm all for it.
Okay, are there any questions, more questions from council and staff? All right, now I'll open it up to the public. Hi.
Hi, my name is Mary Benson. I'm a real estate broker. I'm the chair of the task force. And I really had hoped that I would be here to speak in support of the cooperation that we've had from the city. And we really do appreciate the cooperation that we've had. But I do have some comments to make. The staff report says that the realtors are amenable to the changes that were suggested, and none of us ever said that we were amenable in any of our meetings because we continue to have concerns. We do appreciate the 2 meetings that we had with Mr. Flora and the ability to submit our comments, and we do really appreciate that a lot of our comments were incorporated. But at our last meeting a couple of weeks ago, we were given a confidential version of the document that the council, the city attorney, had not yet finished reviewing. And we were told that we should not share that with anybody, and we did not. We are waiting for the final version to come out, and then all of a sudden it's on the agenda and it's too late to try to get more input. There were several things that we thought we had reached agreement on in our meetings that are not in the version that is here today. And so those are some of our concerns. We thought that we would be able to get a look at the final draft and opportunity to distribute it. We do notice that there's a number of references to a community development department, and I know there's one at the county, but I'm not aware of one at the city. And I'm wondering if perhaps that language could be massaged into something else. We do appreciate the voluntary self-certification that we asked for being incorporated. However, part of it includes that the person has to have membership in a professional organization, which is several $100s. And at that point, there's no point in trying to save money by self-certifying because it'll cost more to self-certify. The landlords also have to, according to the inspection form, certify under penalty of perjury that the foundation is sound and things like this that are beyond their ken. And a lot of the landlords wouldn't have even been to the property to do such a thing. We had thought that the self-certification would be good for 3 years, according to our last meeting, but it still remains at just 1 year. And we also noticed that the business license requirement, your municipal code says that if you have more than 4 units, you have to have a business license. This ordinance, as it's written, says every single landlord has to have a business license. We thought we had worked that out in our meetings, but it remains in the draft, or the draft that's here today, as every single landlord has to have a business license. It would be good for my business personally, because I hear a lot of landlords saying, if I have to do all this stuff, I've been on the fence about selling my property and I'm just going to dump it. I think it will in the long run lead to fewer rentals available. In our previous meetings, we had heard that the total number of residents in the city was 6,500 and roughly half of those were rentals. But now we're hearing it's 66 rental properties. And it seems like a 3-year phase-in is not going to even begin to touch it, with one part-time person who's going to devote like a day and a half to these inspections. On the inspection form itself, we have a lot of different concerns, like windows in the bedroom can't be blocked by an air conditioner or furniture. And almost every bedroom I go into in the summertime has a window air conditioner in it. And it seems like every single property is going to fail. And yet you want habitable conditions. And yet if you're forced to take out your window air conditioner, then there goes that habitability. A lot of tenants don't have the money for refilling their diesel fuels or their diesel fuel tank or their propane tank. I don't see how the inspector is going to be able to inspect the operation of the heating unit if there's no fuel. And the tenants are voluntarily using space heaters, and that's not going to be acceptable according to our discussions with the inspector. The exterior doors have to have a peephole in it. I don't understand what that has to do with habitability or why that would be a requirement for rentals. The form also says that you have to have a carbon monoxide detector outside every bedroom, but the statute by the state says 1 in the common area on each level of the home, not outside each bedroom. And these things are $40 to $50 each. And so you got a 3-bedroom home and you've got 150 there and then 1 in the common areas. You're really adding up to a lot of coin there. And I think that I think it's unrealistic to ask for that. Vector control, mosquitoes, where landlords are supposed to be dealing with the mosquitoes around their rental properties. That doesn't seem reasonable either, especially when we have vector control at the county level. We also feel that this opens up the door to a lot of retrofitting that may not be appropriate, like bathrooms need to have a window or a vent, which all new construction does, but a lot of these older homes do not. And so if that's part of the requirement, then yes, you're asking people to bring them up to the current standards. They want a GFI outlet in the garages, but GFI is only required within 6 feet of water. And so if you don't have any water in your garage, there's no reason to put in a GFI outlet there. So we have a number of issues that we would like to have a chance to chew over some more. I'm sorry that you probably thought you were done with this. We really would like to have another opportunity to be concerned about some of these issues. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Benson. Other comments?
Good evening, council and staff. My name's Terry Stewart, resident of Clear Lake since 1959. Retired fireman, retired president of the Chamber of Commerce. Quite a few other positions I've held in the local community. I've been a landlord here since 1989. At my height, I had 9 rental units, 8 of which were in the city of Clear Lake. Currently today, I have 3 units. Those 5 or 6 other units are now all owner occupied. They are no longer rentals. And the primary reason they are no longer rentals is government interference in my business. Primarily, I'm speaking of something that you guys never had anything to do with or control of. But when the pandemic hit, the state in all its wisdom decided that landlords like me had to let people live in their house totally free for as long as 3 years. And this did impact me. I ended up having to pay bad renters thousands of dollars to move out of my place. And that place was no longer a rental after that. And that taught me a lesson, which is that no matter what the great intentions are, when government regulation steps into private business, oftentimes it has unintended consequences. We have a community of very low income people here. You probably know, just like I do, that people are actually struggling every single day just to keep a roof over their head. And I can tell you that the minute this ordinance is passed, rents are going to go up. Simply because landlords aren't going to eat all these extra costs. There may be a few tenants that are on a 1-year lease and the landlord won't be able to change their rent until the lease is up, but by golly, you can bet it's going to be changed then. And the others are going to be changed if they've been there less than a year, probably within 30 days. If they've been there a year or two, then it's 60 days legally to raise the rent. But it is going to go up because we're talking about significant cost increases for the landlord here. And quite honestly, you know, a lot of the things that have been mentioned, and I appreciate Mr. Slutin telling about the poor soul that lost his life because he didn't have CO detectors. But I mean, anybody that has a home with any kind of a device in it, heating, cooking, whatever, that makes a flame, anybody with common sense knows you need a CO detector in there. And I'm sorry this person and his pet lost their life. That should not have happened. But the tenant has to take some responsibility here too. And they have to be able to say to the landlord, you're violating the law. You have to put this in here. Or they can call code enforcement. You guys already have every single tool needed to correct anything that might be wrong with the rental. And believe me, I know because I've had them talk to me. And they carry a pretty big stick. They have the ability to use it. And by golly, when they talked to me about a tenant that I was having a problem with, the tenant wasn't able to take care of it. I stepped in and took care of it because I didn't want $100 a day fine on me. So stuff can happen without having a big onerous piece of legislation that's hanging over everything. And anyway, you know, I understand that the inspection program has good points to it. And you may want to go ahead and do it, but I would urge that you go into this slowly and carefully, listen to what the Realtors Association has to say, because every point the lady made, Ms. Benson, is a valid point in my opinion. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Are there any other come on up? Please introduce yourself and where you live.
My name is Timothy Toy. I'm a real estate broker in Lake County. We manage about 200 properties in Lake County, and many of them in Clear Lake. I attended the last meeting by Zoom, so this is my opportunity to speak in person. Thank you for that. I want to speak first of all to what is the real motive for this activating this ordinance to begin with. At the last meeting, there were photographs shown of a home that is apparently in desperate need of repair and was apparently unoccupied. When I read the Record B article afterwards, it said it wasn't occupied. The reason given for the ordinance was that the city was afraid that tenants were afraid to report substandard conditions in their rental to code enforcement because of retaliation, the threat of retaliation from landlords. And so this is a remedy for that. But there's already a California state law, 1942.5, which prohibits landlords from retaliation against tenants. And in our experience, tenants are very forthcoming if there's repair conditions, believe me. So if indeed this is a real concern of the city, that the staff be asked to produce actual evidence where tenants are afraid to report to code enforcement because of the threat of retaliation by landlords. I think if that's a reason for this, and you're going to go to this huge, expensive, broad bureaucratic response, let's have the evidence. But I suggest there's a better way, and this is it. Educate the tenants as to what is a healthy, safe home. That will be a lot cheaper, a lot less bureaucratic, a lot less offensive to both landlords and tenants. You can do that by mail. You can mail your 6,600. That won't cost very much. You can actually provide social media, and it's good that there's criteria. In our property management department, we have criteria. In fact, we will not manage a property unless it meets what we consider to be healthy, safe home standards, which are basically covered by these criteria. So they should be publicly out there so a tenant can measure themselves against it. Now, we will work with landlords to bring it up to code, but the reason we don't is because it ends up being just disturbing. The tenants are never happy. So we expect our landlords to actually meet the very thing that the city is actually trying to put into place. So to me, the ordinance seems expensive, paternalistic, bureaucratic, and full of unintended negative consequences, which I'll get to in a moment. But if this ordinance is put into place, I appreciate there's something about self-certification, but we are already doing this. Our landlords are, they are providing housing to people, and so they're already doing it. So it's not necessary. In fact, you're duplicating what we're already doing, and there's a word for that, and it's called waste. And so I personally think they should be exempt.
Start to wrap up.
Okay, thanks. The city of Salinas, I think there's an article, you should read it. They repealed the similar ordinance after massive outcry from the citizens. I predict if this goes into force, this ordinance will be repealed. It'll be very embarrassing to the city. It's not going to help anything. So I suggest you take a look at that before you actually activate the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments from the?
Hi, my name is Katie Evans. I own Evans Realty and I'm a real estate broker. We manage several homes in the city of Clear Lake. I am here to mirror much of what Mary Benson already spoke about. We're very heartened to be able to work with the city of Clear Lake and hopefully come to a compromise. But with the document in place right now, I still have many of the same concerns. And just even more concerns brought up tonight with the presentation. Last time we met back in April, we were told there was 3,200 units. Now it's 6,600 units. So that I would think that would need to be addressed. And I think as the board of realtors and city council, I think we could work together to come to a compromise to make this work. But as it stands right now, I don't see that. Some of my concerns are the business license, which was already brought up. The clause in there requiring landlords to disclose to tenants their rights. If the landlords are using a property manager that is a member of the California Association of Realtors, there's already a tremendous amount of disclosures that are provided to tenants. And how does the city going to implement that? I mean, are you going to provide a document that we need to provide to any tenant that rents in Clear Lake to meet your specifications? And if that document is not provided, what's the legal liability to the owner for not providing that to his tenants? The other thing that's really concerning to me is you do address the fact that as tenants being leaseholders of a property, they're entitled to quiet enjoyment of the property. And you are correct that the owner does have the ability or their agents to enter the property with 24 hours notice. But where in this is the city now a representative of the owner? Is that going to be in the application process? That's something we haven't seen, is what the application is and what does the owner sign off of? Is the owner signing off on that application to register a unit, giving the city of Clear Lake access to their property whenever the city of Clear Lake posts a 24-hour notice to the tenant? That's not clear. The other things that we brought up that I think are very valid, we all know we live in a low income community. Asking tenants to be available for a 4-hour period, Monday to Friday, that's a hardship. Can you imagine missing 4 hours of work during your week? That's quite a lot. So if that could be tightened up, that would be helpful. And lastly, the money involved here. So you say 6,600 units at $108 a piece per year. That's $712,860. That's a lot of money. And you're going to propose to inspect a third of those units at 6,600 units a year. So 2,200 units at $138 a unit is $132,480. So we're close to $1 million a year in revenue. So is this program really going to cost $1 million? You added one more person to your staff, and I'm sure there's secretaries and whatnot that go with that as well, and whatever. But $1 million, it seems a bit exorbitant. So who pays for that? The landlord? They don't have limitless pockets to cover this expense. They're not independently wealthy. Most of them are business people. They rely on this income to support themselves. So by taking another $100, $200 a year out of their pocket, where does that money come from? Falls back to the tenant. Or they choose to walk away and not have the rental in the market at all. So actually we lose housing instead of increase housing. So that's all I have, and I appreciate your time. And I hope that we can have some more time to discuss this further with the city and come to a more amenable solution.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mrs. Evans, for your comments. Is there anyone else in the chamber?
Mr. Mayor and City Council and staff, I'm Dave Hughes. I'm a resident of Clear Lake and a local realtor. I'm mainly pushing continuing this item for at least 2 weeks to a month. You've heard some concerns that the Board of Realtors have. I think they're valid. I think they should be implemented. We would like to see a little more time to make sure the staff is fully aware of all of these items and not just hearing it at a city council meeting. What's the rush? We have an ordinance now that we're not enforcing, which this is going to update, I assume, but we do have an existing ordinance. What is the rush? We don't have to push this through tonight. We have time, and time is on our side if you choose to do that. I appreciate, Alan's desire to get things done and push things through, but there's no rush on this. Obviously we have some substandard housing, not only in the rental market, but in the general housing market that needs to be taken care of. This will, I'm sure, address, at least on the rental side, a lot of that, but code enforcement's still here to handle the other side. And they're here to handle code enforcement without this ordinance. So to me, there's no rush. We'd like to have more time to give you more input, maybe even another meeting with Alan and get some more things that we feel are needed put into this ordinance, or at least suggested, and you can reject them. But, I don't see the rush. I don't see the need to push this through tonight. A continuance for a couple of weeks or a month is not going to hurt anything. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Are there any other comments? Yes, there are.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Joyce Overton, City of Clear Lake. So I was kind of involved in getting this thing going. This is an ordinance that I have actually used with an apartment complex. So even though it's been kind of stagnant, we haven't, had to really enforce it. It was still there to be able to be used. And it helped in one of the apartment complexes that had mold and mildew, and the tenants were scared to say anything because they were afraid that either they would get kicked out, because they're going to tear it all down, or, so I think this is a good ordinance, but I definitely agree there's still some problems and some things to work out. They had very good comments on that. I think the price might be a little too high also. When I looked at that, we need to kind of maybe talk. The ordinance is standing. This is an update on it. There's no reason, absolutely no reason to rush into doing this. I think there's still more work that needs to be done on it. So I hope you guys take the time. You can take 3 months. The ordinance is standing still. You can use it at any time. But I do think you have to follow through with the licensing though. I mean, our ordinance says they don't have to get a license unless they have over 4. So that needs to change in the ordinance. So that's already been in process. That's been the law for the city for years, as long as I can remember. So, you have to kind of make sure that you're collaborating with everything that we already have in effect on our ordinances along, for the laws that we already have set. So I think there still needs to be a lot of work done on this. So I hope you guys take the time to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Overton. Are there any other comments?
Bruno Sabatier, resident of Clear Lake. Again, mayor, council members. The details are up to you. The continuation or not is up to you. I just want to offer an idea or suggestion. I've been in some houses that are pretty horrifying and disturbing, that people are actually paying rent for these things. And I will say, and maybe some in the room won't like it, there is a certain predatory activity that does occur, maybe in a minority of landlords, but that take advantage of the poverty that we have in our town, where people are scared to do things or don't feel they have the resources to stand up for themselves and do things. I suggest looking at it as a pilot program. I know you already have it, but you're making changes. Show us the before and after pictures. Show us what you found out there, that you helped rebuild and rechange how people's lives have changed by what you found in the homes and what you changed it into. Because what's out there, some of it is absolutely horrifying. Yes, people are impacted to the point of their own health being taken from them. But there's some people living in homes out there that do not have floorboards. There are people who are living out there who have no heating at all. Those things are in existence, and those people are not willing or are scared to voice their opinions or their concerns outside of something that you can do because you serve those people, and those people need to be thought of too. So maybe look at it as a pilot program and then show what you found, show what you've done to provide purpose of continuing or not continuing after a certain amount of time. Just thought I'd put that out there.
Thank you, Mr. Sabatier. Are there any other comments in the chambers? Mrs. Garcia, come on up and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Margaret Garcia, City of Clear Lake. First off, I can't believe you guys are actually going to decide or want to decide on this tonight. I don't understand why you guys want to jump into something like this, especially with all of these things that haven't been ironed out. You know, I appreciate your experience with the friend of yours who was killed and his pet. And that's a horrible thing to have happen. A gentleman was discussing the fact that there's a fire hazard that could cause fire to thousands of people, not just one person and a pet. So those things need to be looked at, these issues that were brought up. Now, if an inspector, you've hired one person to do this work, is that correct? Is that accurate? One person that's going to do inspections? I don't even know how you guys, do you know anything about like scheduling and getting, that is never going to work. You guys are going to get into a horrible ball of mess, and it's going to look horrible. People are going to start leaving this town, selling their properties. I'm not renting any more property in Clear Lake. And we're going to lose residents. We're going to lose tax-paying people. So you guys really need to focus, I think, on other things that need to happen here in this city. I don't know why you've got a code enforcement, don't you have building inspectors that do this kind of thing? I'm not sure what it is you guys are after, other than maybe, I don't know, the the revenue. But you're looking at a bunch of problems. You're going to have inspectors come in and not have this checkoff list, and what the tenant's going to go, oh, well, I'm not paying rent. This stuff's not done. This is substandard. I'm going to stop paying rent. You have all kinds of landlords not getting their rent. So the fact that your friend was killed in a fire, I get it. But, this has been your baby, I guess, for many years since you've been on as mayor. You need to maybe spread your focus. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mrs. Garcia. Are there any other comments in the chambers? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, are there any comments on Zoom?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right. I will bring this back for deliberation. There any comments?
I have a question, Alan. If we approve this today, the final reading is in 30 days, or do we have a second reading in end of June, or so there's technically 2 more weeks to make some final tweaks on this, or not?
Could be, yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Councilmember Downey.
I think this needs to go back to the drawing table and get,
Please hold your.
I think there still needs to be more meetings and discussions about this, and kind of get the verbiage correct that benefits our, our landlords, our tenants and realtors, so, and our property management companies. I mentioned before that, like, what they've also said is that they also do inspections. They wouldn't put something on the market that is unlivable. So, I mean, I do believe property management should have the exclusion in this. I mean, like I said, it can go back to the drawing table. It can be up for discussion, but I I do believe that a business license should be required. I mean, real estate is a business, renting property is a business, so I don't see any issues with that, but like I said, I think it should be taken back a step and relooked at.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wilson.
I have a problem with the fact that the chair of the task force has said that they were not amenable to the document that was presented to us and that they didn't see the final draft. So I would like to have them one more time around to look at the document and see if something can be brought forward that the task force is actually amenable to.
Thank you, Mayor. Or
I'm not mayor.
Matt Henry. Thank you. Okay. I also have a lot of questions. I agree with Councilmember Downey's comments and Councilmember Wilson's. The folks in the audience brought up a lot of good points. And I think we need to tighten this up again. We've got this committee of realtors that I think we should give them we should go back to them. City Manager Laura, I'd like to see you meet with them again. They've obviously picking apart what we have here, and a lot of their comments are things that make sense to me. So I would agree with at least two of my fellow council members that this document needs a little more help. I'd like to see it continued. Go back, meet with their committee again and see if we can work some of these things out. Those were my feelings. No? So yes, we'll have to vote on it. We can either vote to continue it, or we can vote for it or vote against it. Vice Mayor? We can do this by consensus on that continuing.
Well, I would like to see this implemented. Like I said, for a long time, I think it's necessary. There is so much substandard housing in this town, substandard renters. And I'll be the first one, if you want to inspect I only want residential in town, I'll be happy to be the first one. Because I think it's desperately needed. Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I don't think anyone here disagrees with you.
No.
I just think that it just needs to be further discussed, you know? I mean, I do like this idea of this, but I think it just needs to be a little bit fine tuned.
That's exactly my feelings. Definitely it's needed, Vice Mayor. I agree with you. The substandard housing that's out there needs to be taken care of, but this document needs a little bit more work, in my opinion.
Can we, I'll be the volunteer if the building inspector wants to see our, excuse me. Your public time is.
Yeah, please hold your comments.
I'll be the first one to have our building inspector look at my rental and see how the process works. To see what is actually being done, and I would kind of like to report on that later in the next meeting.
Something in the terms of what Mr. Sabache is suggesting, a pilot.
Yeah.
So is a consensus then to continue this and have more? All right.
So, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry.
So, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Hucci, you're gonna have to speak louder.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not being heard?
Put the volume up.
Put the volume up, yeah.
Well, I can't turn my volume up. That's happy on your end.
Yeah.
I can hear you all just fine.
All right, I'll just go ahead.
So can you hear me, sir? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Pucci.
Okay, thanks, Alan. So your options, if you want to continue this, you'd have to have a motion to continue it to a date certain. And so if you wanted to do that, then that would be the motion. You could also do similarly what you did last time, which was if staff wants to withdraw this item and then renotice it as another first read, that is another option, but that'd be the city manager's discretion. So if you are going to continue it, you would need to continue the first read to a date certain or a meeting certain in the future, or have the matter pulled by staff.
Mr. City Manager, what would be your preference?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pick a date certain. I mean, it's frustrating that we have, you know, a lot of misinformation and some changing stories here. So I think, you know, there's gonna have to be, I wouldn't want to put a pin on when we can bring it back.
Okay, so we'll withdraw it then.
I mean, it's not a notice public hearing, so I don't think that there's really a need to continue it to a specific date. That would be different for the fees, but that's a separate item. So I think the direction to, I guess, continue talking to the group is we'll just have to, I don't know when we might be able to see it again.
Okay. And I think we'd like to, consensus would be that you continue to talk to the group. Does that work for Mary? You're nodding your head. Okay.
But I still want to proceed with, but my one rental as a pilot to kind of see what the whole process is like.
Well, I mean, I think without knowing what the program is going to look like, without, you know, I think that's a ways out. So.
Okay, I was going to say with the checklist and all that kind of stuff and the whole process, maybe we can figure out what if there are indeed these problems that the realtors are alleging.
Okay, so we'll continue. Does that require a vote, Mr. Pucci, or what's?
So I guess I would just need to, Alan, are we just pulling this from the council, or would you like to have them to actually vote on the first read? That's your call.
Sounds like that's not going to happen. So I guess we're just pulling the item at this time.
Yes, then we will pull the item. Does
No,
that again take a motion, or does that take consensus?
No.
Consensus, all right. Consensus of the item has been pulled. Yeah, please go back with the realtors and see if we can work this out. Okay. Lost track where I'm at. Okay, number 14. Consideration of resolution number 2025-23 endorsing the Lakeshore Drive Safety Enhancement Project, committing to Vision Zero principles and authorizing the application of the commitment of matching funds to the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. City Manager Flora, please.
Director Leyva will present the staff report.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight, the City Council is being asked to approve Resolution 2025-23, endorsing the Lakeshore Drive Safety Enhancement Project and authorizing application to the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for All, and approve the commitment of matching funds to support the project. Last year, the city submitted a grant application for the Lakeshore Drive Safety Enhancement Project, but was unsuccessful. Our score fell short by 1.8 points of being approved. We did receive feedback from the grant application reviewers, which we are using to build a more robust grant application. Staff is proposing to reapply for this grant with the same scope of work. This will provide funding that will improve infrastructure, enhance pedestrian and cyclist safety, manage traffic, engage communities with the goal of reducing accidents and promoting safer, more inclusive, and active neighborhoods. This application requests about 16.9 million in federal funding through the SS for a grant program and includes a required non-federal match of approximately 3.9 million. This commitment shows organizational support and strengthens the application's competitiveness. Staff is requesting approval of Resolution 2025 endorsing the project, committing to Vision Zero principles and authorizing the application and commitment of matching funds to the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for All grant.
Thank you, Ms. Labia. Are there any questions, staff of the council and staff? No questions? The public, are there any comments?
Joyce Overton, City of Clear Lake. Where is the plan for the match funds coming from? Do you have an idea? You throw it at Thompson, or is there someplace where the match fund that we already have, or you're just hoping to get it?
Good question. I would have.
Well, there's a number of possible funding sources. Could be Measure V, additional grants, gas tax, other things. At this time, we don't have a specific identified source for that. So I think it's an amount that we could figure out if we got the grant. But we have to adopt a resolution that says we will make the match in order to get extra points under the program. So.
And you feel confident that that can happen?
If I didn't, it wouldn't be on the
Okay.
agenda.
I just wanted to make, because I was just curious. Thank you.
And you should have known the answer to that. I don't even have to call you up anymore.
I might as well just come up for every item. Bruno Sabatier, Mayor, council members, I sure hope you approve this because on Tuesday for the Board of Supervisors, we're planning to approve a letter of support for you guys. Want to see you get your sidewalks in your most important area of the city to energize economic activity, people walking around and utilizing your stores and restaurants. And it's an exciting prospect and happy to support it. Hopefully you approve it. So my letter of support means something.
Thank you, Mr. Sabatier. Are there any other comments in the chambers? All right, Madam Clerk, we have anything on Zoom?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. I'll bring this back for a motion or deliberation if we want any, but a motion in a second.
I'll move that we approve resolution number 2025-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clear Lake, California, authorizing submittal of an application for the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant program and identifying a local non-federal match funding sources.
A motion's been made by Vice Mayor Slotin
I'll second that.
and seconded by Councilmember Wilson. Please vote on your portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, we'll move on now to item 15. Discussion and consideration of a letter to the state officials regarding adoption of local responsibility area fire hazard severity zone maps. Mr. Flora.
Mr. Mayor, council members, at the last meeting, the council held the first reading of the LRA fire hazard severity zone maps as required by state law, and the ordinance was adopted tonight. At the last meeting, the council directed that we bring back a letter expressing frustration to various state officials with the process. I have prepared a draft letter for you to consider.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council? Are there any comments from the public? Mrs. Garcia.
Margaret Garcia, City of Clear Lake. I'm really happy to hear that, Ellen, that you guys are being a little proactive on pushing back on what they were suggesting. So it's good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Garcia.
Sticking to his word.
Couldn't help yourself.
Have I reached my maximum 3 minutes for the day? Bruno Sabatier, Mayor, Council members, last time I approached you with the suggestion of a draft letter, just to let you know, the Board of Supervisors discussed LRA as well, and our next agenda, and actually not sure if it's next agenda or the following one, but we will also be considering a draft letter to send to the state and let them know how we feel about this.
Thank you, I guess Supervisor Sabache in this case. Are there any other comments from the public? Madam Clerk, anything on Zoom?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's bring this back for, I assume, for a motion.
Okay, I move to approve this letter to the state officials regarding adoption of local responsibility area fire hazard severity zone maps.
Very good. Motion's been made by Council Member
I'll second it.
Downey and seconded by Vice Mayor Slotin. Please vote in your portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now we'll move on to public hearing. Item 16, discussion and public hearing to consider amendment of fees for the residential registration program.
Mr. Mayor, would like to pull this item.
Yeah. So this item has been requested to be pulled. We need to take a motion on that or just accept that? Okay. Motion, that item's been pulled. Next would be, item 17. I know the number, I'm just trying to find the comments. All right, I'm gonna do it this way. Okay, item 17, public hearing in compliance with Assembly Bill 2561 / Government Code Section 3502.3 regarding vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. City Manager Laura, you,
Director Swanson will present the staff report.
Director Swanson.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. This report tonight is in regards to a new law effective January of 25, which requires public agencies, including the city, to hold at least one public hearing per fiscal year to discuss vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. The communication along with this presentation discusses the city's legal obligation under the new law, which as I said, took effect January 1. So the presentation is for informational purposes only, and there's no action by the council necessary, just discussion. So AB 2561 was introduced to address the issue of job vacancies in local government, which adversely affects the delivery of public services and employee workload. Among other requirements, the bill mandates that the public agencies conduct a public hearing to present the status of vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts during a public hearing before the agency's governing body of at least once per fiscal year. So in compliance with the new legal obligations, we must report on our vacancies, which for the current fiscal year, the city's annual average the city's annual average percentage of vacancies was 7%. The adopted 24-25 workforce budget allotted for 71 positions, and as of today, there are there's six vacancies. So at this time, we are recruiting for maintenance worker. We have a senior maintenance worker position that's unfilled. We're recruiting for police officer, secretary, and dispatch. So the services rendered to the public by this budgeted workforce include all departments of the city manager, community development, finance, police, human resources, risk management, recreation and events, and public works, everyone that works for the city. So in addition to reporting out on our vacancy rate, we are required to invite the bargaining units to have a presentation as well at tonight's meeting. I did contact them, but none of them were interested in presenting. Our vacancy rate is fairly low and standard pretty much across the board for a lot of agencies our size. The law requires if our vacancy rate is over 20%, there are additional reporting that we have to do, including the total number of vacancies broken down by bargaining unit, the number of our applicants, the average number of days it takes us to fill a position, and opportunities to improve compensation and working conditions for employees in the bargaining units that experience that 20% and above. So just quickly, I'd like to go over the recruitment process. Once a vacancy is approved by the department head, HR opens a recruitment, and we take applications via our website at clearlake.ca.us. Our process is electronic. And once we gather all the applications, the closing date is done, HR meets with the department heads and or the city manager to discuss the applicants and the application or the proper interviewers for the vacancy. Once the interviews happen, we establish an eligibility list, and that eligibility list is sent to the department. At that point, if there's second interviews that takes place, those take place. I had that backwards, my fault. So we open the recruitment. We give an eligibility list to the department head for review, who then we schedule the interviews and possibly a second interview. Once the interview process is over, we give a contingent offer to the qualifying applicant. Once we finish the background process of a reference check, license check, DMV check, criminal check, and medical check, we do a formal offer and give a start date and a new hire orientation. So in this fiscal year, we had a total number of vacancies of 9, which includes police officer, police dispatcher, maintenance worker 1, a community development technician, recreation and events, and a secretary. So if anyone's interested in applying for a job with the city of Clear Lake, You can check our website at clearlake.ca.us for any openings. And you can also follow us on Facebook. Our official page is City of Clear Lake. So I can answer questions if you have any.
Questions? Anything from the public?
Margaret Garcia, City of Clear Lake. These openings are on the website, right? Under job openings or employment on the City of Clear Lake? Because I've had a real difficult time with the City of Clear Lake website. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it doesn't seem to be that user friendly. And that just kind of brings me to the fact that a gal made a kind of a good suggestion earlier about the possibility of having some kind of a newsletter in general, because not everyone is internet savvy or access. And that could be something that would go on the newsletter, other than important information that people may not want to miss here at our city council meetings. But so anyway, that's just my input. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Garcia. Any other questions, comments, rather? Seeing none, is there anything on Zoom?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. As this requires no vote on our part, thank you.
No action by the council is necessary.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. And now we will move on to our city manager and council member reports. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we're over the next few weeks wrapping up our Clean California grant, we had a little over $100,000 funds left over. So we're swiftly implementing a few different things. There's going to be approximately 20 RVs and travel trailers towed, 8 boats and 15 cars. We're going to be amending our agreement with CC4C to provide them some funding to do some additional cleanup work and hopefully at least one additional community dump day. Wanted to give an update on the Clear Lake Park Road project, which was not able to be finished last year, as we're still waiting on Golden State Water to complete some work that was necessary. Unfortunately, we got their schedule, which shows that they don't intend to start their work until the fall. So it's highly unlikely we'll even be able to pave this year and finish that project. I did have a meeting with Golden State Water general manager last week to talk more about fire hydrant testing. So we had a pretty good discussion, and we'll be coming back hopefully with some recommendations to council around that in the near future. As always, this time of year, there's a lot of resources put towards weed abatement cases. The police department, I believe, is going to be assigning some of the detectives to help code enforcement out with that for a little while to catch up with some of the backlog. I wanted to give you an update on apartment building on Lakeshore Drive near the Lamplighter Hotel that's been in a serious state of disrepair for some time. That property has been in bankruptcy. The city has initiated receivership proceedings with the court. We were supposed to have a hearing on June 16th where a receiver would be appointed. Unfortunately, the principal owner has apparently left the country and has not been able to be served. So there's going to be an additional delay on getting a hearing on that property. We just got the streetlights audit back from our consultant this week, so we'll be at and probably bringing forward a contract to the council for approval soon on next steps around that. Rite Aid, we were given some of the bankruptcy filing paperwork this week. There was a list, I guess, end of last week, another list of closures that came out. A number of properties in the area, including Ukiah's. Rite Aid were on that list. Ours was not. Not sure what that means, but it does look like they had 13 qualified bidders for their assets. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And it's like I mentioned before, likely that someone's going to pick up a large number of those properties. A number of other pharmacies were on that list. So we received a report from Sonoma Clean Power related to them coming and analyzing the feasibility of providing electrical service to our community. We have scheduled them to come and give a presentation at the July meeting, which will be a pretty lengthy presentation to the council. And I just wanted to remind the council that we had talked about having a council meeting on June 26th, but that is not the case. We'll be having a meeting on June 19th, which will be our budget workshop. And then after that, the next meeting will be July 17th, unless there's need for a special meeting. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mayor Flora, our manager, city manager Flora. You want the job? Councilmember Wilson.
So I had the pleasure of attending the Woodland Community College graduation as a staff member, but also the Lower Lake Awards ceremony. And I am very proud of this community to that it was able to award scholarships over $106,000 to those students. I also attended the PEG TV meeting. There was a lot of budget information provided. There's we approved to buy better digital camera so that we can have better videos made. There's a project to interview some elders in the Native community. And then there's a project that we approved to start with having a program for youth that they will learn how to use the equipment. And it was focused on having clubs in at the high school.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilson. Councilmember Downey. You have nothing to report. Vice Mayor Slotin.
I have a couple of things to report. I also went to the graduation at Woodland College. I also went to the graduation at Woodland College. Let's see what else I did here. We had the Lake County Recreation Agency, and basically it was a strategic planning session. Both Mr. Alan Flora and the city manager from Lake Board attended. Hopefully they're working on some ideas that were put forward. The one thing that they did, everybody agreed on that we have to figure out a funding source for this. And then also maybe start with some smaller projects, and they're going to put a website together. I think that's about the comments I had. We had a LAFCO meeting on the 21st, by which we finalized the MSR for the fire districts, although there's still some information missing on that, particularly the ISO reports for previous years and the actually a couple of current ones that were not available. And we inducted a new alternate public member, a well-known figure in the community, of Mr. Dennis Darling, the previous owner of the IGA store. Let's see what that. I also attended a event at the Canocti School for gosh, what was that? When was that?
With credit union.
Yeah, with credit union, how students could have learned some financial management. Was pretty interesting. The booth that was most visited was federal credit unions because the students quickly overspend their money that they were supposedly gotten, so. So, I think that's it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have nothing to report at this time. So we'll move on to future agenda items. Any council member wish to get consensus to place an item on the future agenda this time? Okay, seeing none. Oop,
I would like to bring forth a North Bay Animal Services contract to the council for discussion.
Okay. Any consensus on that?
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
Either which way.
Yeah. All right, City Manager Flora, could you add that to a future agenda item, please? A discussion of the animal control and care services provided. Okay. I will now adjourn to closed session.